Came home for Christmas to an empty house. A note said, "Spent your $8,500 loan on a family cruise. Take care of Grandma." She looked at me and said, "We'll fix this." 4 days later, they were begging. Hey everyone. Before we kick off today's video, I've got a favor to ask. We've noticed our channel isn't getting as much love lately, and subscribing is one of the easiest ways you can help us out. It's quick, free, and it means we can keep bringing you awesome content. Your support really means a lot, so let's work together to keep this channel growing. Thanks a bunch. Now, let's dive into the video. I didn't bother knocking because it was my parents' house, the one I'd pretty much financed. I was supposed to be home for Christmas, just like I promised, just like I always did. But when I pushed open the door, it wasn't the warm, cheerful scene I expected. Sure, the tree was lit, and the cheap plastic star blinked away, almost apologetically. But the silence was thick, no voices, no sound of wrapping paper being torn, no scent of cinnamon or burnt cookies. Just the faint clink of a fork on a plate. "Hello?" I called out, stepping inside cautiously. "In here, sweetheart," came a soft, tired voice from the kitchen. I rounded the corner and saw Grandma sitting alone at the table in her knitted purple sweater, a plate with cold stuffing and half-eaten ham in front of her. I blinked, confused. "Where is everyone?" She didn't answer right away, just gave me a sad, toothless smile and slid a folded note across the table with trembling hands. I picked it up. Not even an envelope, just a torn sheet of notebook paper with my name scrawled on it in black pen. "Spent your $8,500 loan on a family cruise, sorry. Take care of Grandma while we're gone. Love, Mom." I just stared, unable to speak, with my brain stuck on the words loan and cruise. That money was for my dental surgery, I'd saved up for over a year. Grandma watched me carefully, like a soldier navigating a minefield. "I guess they didn't think you'd mind," she said softly, folding a napkin. "They left yesterday." I sat down hard, and the chair felt colder than the room. "No warning, no phone call, just took the money and left you here?" I whispered. She gave a dry laugh. "Oh honey, you know they only call when they want something." I nodded slowly, clenching my hands under the table. This wasn't new, it was just more obvious now. Grandma took a small sip of orange juice, looked me right in the eyes, and said, "We'll fix this." I stayed quiet, but something inside me broke, and something else, much colder, started to grow. Grandma went to bed early that night, said she was tired, her hips couldn't handle much more waiting. She kissed me on the cheek, patted my arm, and whispered, "You always were the only one who stayed kind." Then she shuffled away with that little limp she's had since she fell down the stairs 2 winters ago, the one no one else ever took her to rehab for. I sat alone in that house for hours, no TV, no lights, just that note, the loan, my money I worked night shifts for, weekends, holidays, driving Uber, freelancing, skipping meals, skipping sleep. $8,500 gone on a cruise. I opened the family group chat. Silence. Not even a Merry Christmas. I scrolled up to the last message from my mom in November. "Don't forget to transfer the loan to Dad's account, we need to book before prices jump." Loan. They never called it a gift because they knew it wasn't. I remembered my mom pitching the idea, "It's just a short-term loan, we'll pay you back by February, latest. You can always reschedule your dental thing." And I had nodded, just like I always did, when they needed money for Jacob's school fees, when they wanted help with Dad's gambling debt, when Kelly needed rent after she lost her job, aka quit because her boss was mean. I always nodded, because if I didn't, I was selfish, unhelpful, ungrateful. Because family comes first, because after everything we've done for you? Done for me? They kicked me out when I was 17 for refusing to lie for Jacob after he stole Grandma's painkillers. They didn't show up to my college graduation, too busy helping Emily move in with her boyfriend. They forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. But when it came to money, oh, suddenly I was family again. By the next morning, I had my answers. They weren't just on a cruise, they were on the majestic Aurora, a luxury ship cruising the Caribbean for 10 days. Suite deck, private butler, infinity pool access, gourmet food. $3,000 per person, 4 of them. I know because Emily posted a photo on Instagram, guess she forgot to block me from seeing it, of all 4 of them in bathrobes, clinking champagne glasses. The caption, "Finally some peace away from all the leeches and negativity." Leeches. I laughed out loud. They used my money, left Grandma with leftovers, and called me a leech. That was the moment the last wire inside me snapped. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was focused. That evening, Grandma found me in the garage. I was hunched over Dad's old filing cabinet, surrounded by stacks of papers, bills, old records. She didn't say anything, just watched as I flipped through decades of lies. I need to know everything, I told her. Where the money went, what they did, who's in on it. She sat down beside me, pulled out a faded notebook, and started flipping pages. Let's start with 2016, she said. That's when your mother took my pension login. By midnight, we had numbers. By the next day, we had a plan. So, imagine this, the so-called family that ditched me and Grandma with a mere note and a fridge full of spoiled food suddenly pulled into the driveway like they were the VIPs of the year. They sauntered in as if they'd just returned victorious from a grand battle, their laughs echoing through the house before the door even swung open. Emily came in first, towing a fancy suitcase, her hair perfectly braided with ribbons, and her nails freshly done. She groaned about the last dinner on their cruise giving her hives. Then, my mom breezed in, looking like a soap opera villain, sunglasses still on indoors. She glanced around, unimpressed, asking, "Did you even bother to clean up a bit?" As she stepped over Grandma's shawl like it was just trash. My dad shuffled in behind her, red-faced and bloated from endless buffet meals, giving me a dismissive grunt like, "Oh, you're still here?" Jacob was last, completely ignoring Grandma, dumping his bags by the couch and collapsing onto it. I didn't say a word, sitting at the table, keeping my cool, hands folded, just waiting. "Where's the food?" Mom said, eyeing the kitchen as if she owned the place. "In the fridge," I replied. "Still got plenty of that ham you left behind." Jacob snickered, "Still on that? Dude, just order takeout. It's not like you're broke." I stood up calmly, "Glad you're all here. Sit down, I've got something to show you." Jacob rolled his eyes but slumped into a chair, Dad cracked his knuckles, and Emily was too busy trying to charge her phone. I turned my laptop around and hit play. The first video rolled, a spreadsheet. Not just any spreadsheet, but a detailed financial audit Grandma and I worked on for 4 days. Every dollar moved from her pension, every gas station ATM withdrawal my dad made, and every time Emily needed emergency funds that somehow ended up as Sephora or Apple charges. "Where'd you get this?" Mom asked, her voice suddenly tight. "From her bank," I said. "You should really be more careful with someone else's password." The next video was screenshots of Venmo transactions, logins from Mom's devices that matched Dad's betting habits, even emails between Mom and Emily discussing how easy it would be to skim off the cruise deposit because he trusts us too much. Emily's reply read, "He's a softie, plus who leaves Grandma alone on Christmas anyway?" I felt my jaw tighten but continued. I could stop here, but I won't. One last file, a voice recording of Kelly, Jacob's wife, on our porch 2 nights ago, in tears. I didn't want to go. I begged him, she sobbed, but Jacob said to just leave her and we'd deal with it later. Jacob sprang up, "You recorded my wife? That's illegal." "No," I said, "she asked me to. She's tired of lying for you. Tired of watching you drain people dry." Dad stood, face red from anger. "You little snake, you've been snooping through our accounts, like someone who's tired of being robbed," I shot back. I opened one last tab, an email draft, subject, "Formal report of elder financial abuse, evidence attached." Set to go to Social Security, Grandma's attorney, the county ombudsman, and a couple of local news outlets. "You have 48 hours to return every penny, or I send it." Emily's hands shook. "You're bluffing. You'd ruin your own family." "No," I said, "you ruined yourselves. I'm just sending the bill. Grandma finally spoke. I raised you 3, fed, changed, and protected you. And when I couldn't walk, you left me with frozen beans and moldy pie while you sipped champagne off stolen money. You're lucky it's him coming after you because if it were just me." She trailed off, but the silence was deafening. Dad muttered something and stormed off. Emily cried and tried to hug Grandma, who turned away. Jacob just glared at me, "You're not family anymore." I smiled, "No, I'm finally free." They didn't think I'd follow through. They assumed I was bluffing, even after I dropped the email in front of them. After Grandma's silent, ancient rage stared them down. They thought they could outmaneuver me, but the old me, the one who nodded and paid and thanked them for crumbs, he died when they spent $8,500 of my savings on cocktails and a cruise buffet. The first 24 hours were silent, no messages, no apologies, just Grandma and me in a house that felt way too quiet, eating microwave oatmeal and keeping an eye on the bank account. Nothing happened. On the second day, I sent the email. Every file, every screenshot, every recording, neatly organized, dated, and dispatched to state authorities and news desks within a 100-mile radius. At 6:13 p.m., a response arrived. Thank you for your submission. A case has been opened. On the third day, everything blew up. Jacob was the first to panic. I woke up to 12. So, I missed a bunch of calls and got flooded with texts ranging from "we didn't mean it like that," to "you're seriously gonna tear apart your own family over some money?" Then Mom chimed in with her classic, "You're being emotional. Please take the post down, and we'll talk." I just ignored it all and sent every message to my lawyer, Natalie. She's got the focus of a surgeon and had been working with Grandma's legal advisor ever since I recorded Kelly's confession. By lunchtime, Natalie had sent out letters of intent to sue my parents, Jacob, and Emily. She wasn't messing around. The charges included elder financial abuse, unauthorized access to retirement accounts, and misappropriation of family loans. The total due? $14,322.85, including interest and damages. The following night, Mom showed up at my place looking like she hadn't slept a wink, no makeup and her hair a mess. She asked shakily, "Can we talk?" I crossed my arms and shot back, "Only if you brought a checkbook." She handed me an envelope with a cashier's check for $8,500, my loan. "No interest?" I asked. "You're lucky to get this," she snapped, accusing me of destroying the family mess I created. But I was done. I walked out and slammed the door, finally turning my back on a thief. Later that week, Emily called from work, in tears, because an article about our family's drama titled "Family Steals Disabled Grandmother's Pension, Abandons Her at Christmas, Grandson Fights Back" went viral, 42,000 shares in a night. Emily's job at a boutique marketing firm wasn't too thrilled with the negative attention. "I'm getting fired," she sobbed. I just told her to pay her share, which she did in 4 installments. Each time, I made her send proof, no shortcuts. Jacob was the last to fold. At first, he bragged on social media that his boss didn't care and it was all fake. But then Kelly left him, taking their kids, not wanting to raise them in a house full of lies. She even called me to apologize and asked for help finding a place, on the condition there were no strings attached. I agreed, glad she finally saw the truth. 2 days later, Jacob showed up at my door looking rough and angry, accusing me of ruining everything. I calmly handed him a legal letter. Natalie had filed a motion to garnish his wages. He tried tearing it up, but I didn't budge. "Pay every penny, or we'll freeze your accounts," I said. By the end of the second week, all the money was returned, $8,500 from Mom and Dad, $3,100 from Emily with interest, and $2,700 from Jacob, who had to borrow from his boss. It was humbling. I used $3,000 for my dental surgery, and another $2,000 went to buy Grandma a lift chair and hire a home nurse. The rest? I put it into a secure, interest-bearing account for Grandma. When I showed her the paperwork, she cried, saying, "They took everything, but they didn't take you." I had won, not just the money, but my freedom from years of guilt, obligation, and feeling less loved. Their calls stopped, and the silence felt peaceful for once, like a clean slate. The money was back, the house was quiet, and Grandma was sleeping well again, unafraid. I was finally becoming someone they couldn't control. In the aftermath, I quit my draining job and took a remote contract that paid better and gave me more time. I took Grandma to her favorite diner, where we shared laughs over fries and milkshakes. She joked, "I'd rather die laughing with you than choking on shrimp with those snakes." Even though they stopped calling, family drama lingered. Emily posted on Facebook about forgiveness, but I wasn't too concerned. So, there's this picture of her lighting a candle at church, and my mom decided to tell our distant relatives that I somehow tricked Grandma in her old age. Funny enough, she conveniently forgot to mention how she used Grandma's pension to pay off her plastic surgery bills. And Jacob? Oh man, Jacob went off the deep end. He posted this whole dramatic reel about toxic siblings with audio from Succession, acting all betrayed, like he was supposed to inherit some busted empire. The caption was something like, "Some people would rather see you fall than rise with you." I laughed my head off for a good 10 minutes. Like, rise with you? You tried to torch me and dance on the ashes. They tried to change the story, but I had the dirt, and I wasn't about to fade away. Then, 3 weeks later, I was at the grocery store with Grandma, pushing her cart and stocking up on soup and ginger ale, when this woman came up to us. She was older, elegant, and kinda familiar. She looked right at me and said, "I'm sorry, are you the one from the article?" I froze, and she smiled, saying, "The one who saved his grandmother?" I was like, I guess. She glanced at Grandma and back at me and said, "I just wanted to thank you for not staying quiet. What happened to my mother was the same, but no one stood up for her. I wish someone had." She touched my arm gently, then walked away. Grandma froze with tears in her eyes, murmuring, I didn't think anyone saw us. I told her, they do now. And that's when it hit me, this wasn't just about money or proving a point. It was about finally speaking the truth. The best part was, I didn't have to justify myself anymore. The truth had already spread, dragging their reputation through the mud every time they tried to post or lie online. Mom attempted to fix her image by starting a YouTube cooking channel, Cozy Kitchen with Carla. But in the very first video, someone commented, "Did you pay for that oven with stolen retirement funds?" She shut the channel down in 2 days. Jacob went job hunting but didn't get past the background checks because the garnishment records freaked out the companies. Oops. Emily? She disappeared for a bit and then popped up with a new Instagram handle, M_life_reset, posting yoga pics and self-help quotes, claiming she was cutting out toxic people, which was a joke since I'd already kicked her out. Months went by, and I moved into a new apartment that was calm and tidy, filled with second-hand stuff I chose, nothing they had picked or touched. Grandma moved in with me, and we each had our own space. She decorated her room with old photos and a crocheted blanket from 1993, calling it her fort. One evening, she came to my room and asked, "When you saw that note they left, why didn't you just leave? Why'd you stay?" I thought it over and replied, "Because I remembered who I was before they made me forget." She gave me a long look and said she was proud of me, which meant more than any insult they'd screamed because she genuinely meant it, unlike anyone else in the family. Weeks later, I bumped into Kelly outside a coffee shop, and she looked so much better, healthier and happier. She mentioned taking night classes and working towards certification, trying to build a life of her own. I didn't know I could live like this without being scared of what he'd do next. "You gave me that," she said. I didn't know what to say, but she stepped closer, saying, "You changed more than just your life, you know." I nodded and, for maybe the first time, actually believed it. So, here's the deal, want to know what happened to the family? They ruined their own name trying to bury mine. Want to know what happened to me? I stopped waiting for them to call me family and started creating one with people who didn't make me beg for love. And now, I sleep soundly with the lights out because I'm no longer scared of what they'll take next. They already took everything, and I reclaim